you had another talk at OBTS where you talked about
Yeah.
crash reports and the importance of understanding those.
Mm,
And I found that an incredibly fascinating talk because it's something that I think a lot of people will see, like program crashes. They see the crash report, they hit okay, and they move on with their day. Um, but you kind of went into detail about how to understand crash reports, how important it is for developers to know why their software is crashing and things like that.
sure. Crash reports should be like your best friends, right? You should really love them for a variety of reasons. One, if you're a user and you're using an app and it crashes, in order to get that bug fixed, the developer is probably going to need a crash report because the crash report has the details about why the application crashes. But what to me is the most interesting thing about crash reports is their use in the context of security tools. Malware can trigger crashes. For example, Lockbit, it's a very prolific ransomware group, recently started to develop a version that would run natively on Apple Silicon systems. Again, kind of goes back to what we said earlier, where Macs are becoming super prolific. Makes sense that the ransomware groups start building versions of their tools, their malicious creations that can run natively on Mac systems. So Lockbit's Mac payload, I tested it, ran pretty well, but every now and again it would crash. They basically had a flaw in their code, which would generate a crash report. If you were monitoring crash reports, you could see that something had crashed. And then when you looked at what that something was, you would be like, wait a minute, why is there this unnotarized piece of software, running perhaps from a hidden directory that's trying to encrypt user files? Big red flags. The crash report is what kind of pointed you in the right direction. We also see malware crash as Apple adds new security mechanisms. So, for example, GCC access, checks, notarization requirements. If you don't fulfill certain of these requirements, which a lot of a malware doesn't, if the malware doesn't handle that correctly, it might crash. Again, crash reports can provide us a signpost or guidance that, hey, perhaps something is amiss. There's some interesting opportunities for us to gain some really valuable information from these reports, which are often, in my opinion, overlooked.